Sure, that's not.
Then. And then it's that document that's up, it's in case we want to just kind of put something up where everybody can see it during the meeting. So you
Right.
see Tom Hatfield is there. Hi, Tom.
That's the computer.
The computer Tom Hatfield. Okay.
Stop's
There we go.
computer.
All right, see, it's good to establish that.
Yeah, that way you can,
Hey,
Use the system.
Tom for public comment.
Tom is our program coordinator, so.
That's right, I didn't recognize that. All right, so now that we're here, let us begin. I'd like to call the meeting of the South County Senior Center Board of Oversight to order.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
We,
Sorry.
Oh.
You know what I realized?
maybe need to record from that one.
Yep, it's.
Oh, yeah.
My oh, it's not plugged in. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry.
Is the mic live? Is the mic live?
Yep.
I think
It will be
the
in a minute.
mic will, yeah, I think the mic is gonna be on here.
No, but it's it live right now.
Yes. It's just, I need to give Poppy a second. Sorry. I thought
Yeah.
it was plugged in.
And Poppy's gonna take over the,
Meeting, yeah, it just,
take over the camera on your,
it should.
on
Give me
your,
a
so
second.
when we're not looking at this, we can pin that one.
I'm trying to get it to do.
Mhm.
It's not loading.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay, sorry about that, guys.
All right, great. You can see our beautiful bright background here at our center location. Great, and give Jen that moment of adjustment there. See ourselves better. All right, so we have to recall our meeting to order. I just wanted to remind everybody of our guidelines: speak one at a time, respectful, considerate, courteous, concise, and non-repetitive. The members present, all members are present. And we have 3 discussion items here. I don't see minutes too. I don't see minutes or public comment. Do we have?
There's public comment on here under discussion items, but,
Oh, it's the first one. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
the minutes weren't on here. I thought we could go under unanticipated because, we weren't sure if they would be done, but Chris, Boudreau got them finished for
Okay.
today's meeting, so.
Okay, great. We'll do that then. I think that's the reason.
Okay, sorry about that.
Oh,
I
no.
thought it would be easier.
I didn't read the 3 discussion, as you can tell. I would have known the public comment was there. So, let me first ask, is there public comment on anything that is not already on the agenda? Moving around the room, I don't see anybody raising their hands. I don't see anybody else on Zoom. So, I'll take that to be, there's no public comment on things not on the agenda, but there might be the things that are on the agenda. All right, great. The second one, I think is update item, I don't know, the agenda, PVTA partnership update.
Okay, so the last meeting that we had, Trevor had inquired about the MOU, which is the memorandum of understanding, et cetera. I've been in touch with Paul Burns over at the BTA over the past week and a half. And we still don't have the finalized MOU, so we will not be starting the program this coming week.
Okay.
We should have the draft, or we should have the version on hopefully Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
So, the program will start, but MVP, who's one of the other partners, will be taking over the rides for the week because there is no separate MOU for us or Amherst COA at this point. But with that being said, how it was explained is it will differentiate, they will be covering everything. We will just be providing the driver. It will be a reimbursement grant, so
Okay.
we will bill them for all of the costs associated. They are providing the vehicle, and they cover the gas, it'll be gassed up and everything else
Right.
because of where it's gonna be stored, it's at one of the PBTA sites. In addition to this, I thought I would piggyback on that because this is a partnership. So there is a, remember how we got the grant for the new vehicle, for the new van? And we should actually hopefully get that next year, not in 2026. Some information that was on the original website was incorrect or changed. So one of the things that we're looking at is partnering with the PBTA for this grant for a 50% operations cost. So previously, we had the service incentive grant that was through the EOEA, through Mass Council on Aging, through MCOA. The EOEA is Executive Office of Elder Affairs. That grant, we had it covered fares, it covered salary of driver, it covered gas, it covered vehicle maintenance, that type of stuff. Well, this new grant that I'm looking at that would not be requesting a new vehicle, but we can request a new vehicle. This would be a partnership where the PBTA would basically receive the grant funds, we would work through them to participate and submit our expenses, but it would cover 50%. Or it would cover 5 hours of driving time to bridge the gap like we had been before with the service incentive grant. So if people wanted to go from Deerfield, Whately to Springfield or Point South, or from Sunderland to Point North, like we have been doing, they would give us a van, an older van, I think it's around a 2018, the PBTA would to use for this partnership. So we would use the vehicle. I believe we would provide, we would cover the maintenance and other things, you know, with the vehicle for usage and stuff like that. I think big ticket items would be covered by them. We're still working on that. Basically, the van is a donation to us, so it would no longer be their vehicle. So what this would cover is all of the driver time, which meaning when we get those medical requests, whether Tom or Chris could do the driving time, we would have their salary covered. Because the state looks for a cash match, but administering this would be my cash match of my salary, so the town's already paying. So there's no additional cost, it would be already covered by what my salary is to basically administer behind the scenes, the paperwork, the reports and things like that, like I have been doing with the MCOA grant previously. So it would be an additional task, it wouldn't be additional money, and it would actually save us money in our budget in the long run, because that 5 hours or whatever time that would be used for drive time, we approximate 5 hours a week. Could be less, could be more, but we would just get reimbursed for the salary of the driver time. It would also cover, we could get reimbursed for gas, so fuel, would also be something that we could get covered for us.
But you're still getting a very old van.
2018, yeah,
So
but ours is a 2011, so,
still,
um,
so this is instead of getting a
Nope.
brand new van?
this is, so what I'm looking to do is to write another grant. The grant cycle hasn't opened for the new vehicle yet. It opens later, in the fall. Right now, this is to cover operations, so it would kind of be to replace the SIG grant that we had for transportation previously, because we didn't get an additional SIG transportation grant because, number one, while there's a need for it, I felt like the needs assessment with the, agent and dementia friendly was more of a priority over that, since we got the marketing grant, which was $7,500. The needs assessment was $20,000, and we're, you know, that's the partnership with UMass Boston in addition. Because this one's also more inclusive of community, partners and community members, stakeholders, not just older adults. So we're actually in the process of reaching out to folks regarding all of that. So, and then we applied for the $25,000 grant to help, pay for additional time for Tom. We did not receive that $25,000 grant, but there were over, you know, so many millions of dollars. So 2 of our 3 requests got funded, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
And, we're actually able to fund a lot of Tom's time with the hybrid grant that we have between administrative time and not administrative for program and stuff like that. So this would just actually help reduce our salary costs. And give us a second vehicle, but I'm going to apply for another vehicle to trade this 2011 in.
Mhm.
But the 2011 vehicle right now is starting to have issues with the lift, so
Mm.
having a backup. That's not working, this would help us a lot. And it wouldn't start till next fiscal year anyways, this is part of this program, so it would be for. I think fiscal year 26, but that's where it would start. So there would be no additional cost to the town. It would just be an available expansion of transportation options. Because the partnership that we're looking at getting the MOU for is not guaranteed to go past fiscal 25/26, because it's an 18-month grant, but by the time they got everything, it's about 15 months. And when we start, so it'll be going through. But the other thing is that this particular grant that I was talking about getting the additional one to sub the SIG is a grant that's been funded continuously for the past 8 years. And Paul Burns from PBTA shared that because it's a unique situation going over the RTA borders, that these are the types of unique projects that the state is looking to fund. Because they can see the benefit, and if we just continue to collect the data, it might be something that we can expand more on later. And that's been something that I've been really able to do. Now, all of this conversation with the transportation started just from our Mass in Motion projects, work groups, listening to the community members, our seniors, of what their needs were, and reaching out to both RTAs, having them come at separate times. And this is where we've been able to elaborate to. Also for the replacement one, for the replacement of the SIG, I'm also speaking with 2 other COA directors who are actively under this partnership every year. And so I'm going to utilize some of their information as to how they submitted their grant and go from there as well. But I just wanted to share that's something that I would really like to do. I would love a vote to support.
You can bring that back to us when you have all the info.
It's it's to write the grant. So, it's not guaranteed even if I submit. It's just something that I think would really benefit us, but I can send you the grant and stuff like that. The PBTA and I would be working on the grant together. It would be a joint submission, I think, through us and them, but I can get all of the other details hammered out, but there would be no additional cost to the towns for this program.
What I'm kind of hearing is that it would, I'm hearing like replacing another grant that we're kind of relying on now. A little bit, the SIG grant we're relying on a little bit now to be funding.
The SIG grant
Some- ended, okay.
in
But we
June.
had,
We
uh,
had,
Yeah, we had ended on, the risk of a 2018 vehicle is certainly smaller than the risk of a 2011 vehicle. So we're reducing the risk, but it is a risk that, the older vehicle, there'll be something. So there's not zero risk,
Mhm.
but there is, as you're pointing out, zero cash outlay upfront.
Yes.
And potentially, if we were to get it, it's gonna help fund some things that the SIG used to fund.
Mhm.
Which includes our awesome staff, which has made so many other things possible. And just acknowledging the risk. I think it seems like on balance, it's gonna be good for us. I wouldn't have any hesitation on having it go forward on the grant application, especially because that's no commitment. If we were to find later that there's some hidden thing, but it doesn't sound like there is. Sounds like you've researched it thoroughly.
Yes, because the match piece that they would look for, a cash match, would be my time.
Yes.
Doing all the administrative stuff, like I did for the SIG grant, and I, didn't get reimbursed for everything.
Yeah,
And the other piece to this is I would still, in the second grant, apply for another vehicle to trade in this 2011. But the other benefit to this grant would be that vehicle would not be restricted for our use just to go do that transportation. We can use it to go to the Big E or go do other things. It's just, we would not bill the grant for reimbursement for using it for those types of projects, just for the medical transport or coming to program.
And is there a huge need for I mean, are you finding that you're driving people to Springfield or Greenfield or stuff? Or
We've been getting those requests, and sometimes because we only have one vehicle, we can't accommodate. So that has been an issue. We have turned people away. And I think that increase is only going, or it's gonna only increase because the dial-a-ride program or on-demand through the FRTA for Deerfield and Whately, those volunteer drivers do not have accessible vehicles. And most of the folks that need the transport are people who have a wheelchair or a walker or a scooter type situations. So, you know, we're finding people like, Valley Neighbors can't transport folks like that either because they're limited to their volunteer vehicles. And then down the line, you know, what I was looking to do is to apply for that other grant where we can, one, trade in the 2011 to get the new vehicle, brand new vehicle. And then we would have two brand new vehicles, a 2018 vehicle, and, you know, we would be building it from there. That's my long-term plan. So I would just like to know if you, I mean, whether you
Yeah.
vote on it or just give verbal support about applying for the grant moving forward. You know, so that way I can partner with the PBTA.
I entertain emotions.
Yeah, motion support to proceed with that.
second,
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
That's aye. Okay, we got our support.
Thank you. Feasibility discussion.
Yeah.
So this is great.
I need to take a quick look at.
I just got an email yesterday afternoon, so I printed it out this morning. We had. I think we got about 37 surveys from the day of the event. Some folks who came for the focus group were not through the original process. So they gave their survey feedback after the fact. But you know, 3 of the folks that are in the room today participated in the forum, because we have Marianne Sadowski, Linda Rowe, Fran York, and Carol Ryan in the space, and Carol came in for the first part for the open houses, did the other 3 folks as well. And this was the feedback that we got in the summary email, but since people watching online are not going to be able to see this, the consensus seemed to be South Deerfield, but there were plenty of folks that voted for Sunderland and Wheaton evenly. The tally during those initial discussions with folks on the site during the AM sessions was 11 voted for South Deerfield, 5 voted for Whately, and 3 voted for Sunderland. However, consensus was on Whately and South Deerfield after the focus groups. We had 7 people left to vote at the end of the focus groups, and 5 voted for Whately. 1 voted for South Deerfield, and 1 was indecisive between South Deerfield and Whately, and 0 voted for Sunderland. Please note that we had equal members from each town represented. 3 members mentioned they had switched their minds after the focus group. So even though they initially were looking at South Deerfield, they changed it to the results that were just shared. Some items or comments that were made throughout the day that came up frequently. Can the current town hall be looked at as a potential location for the senior center? I believe that was referenced to South Deerfield. Other person said money has gone into the Congregational Church in the issue in the roadway. Sunderland is too remote. People want things to be more centrally located for all communities. When the question was brought up about multiple buildings being used for the senior center, Jennifer rebutted the idea with numerous concerns, which my concerns are trying to balance out staffing. If we have someone out, if we have multiple people out, how do we continue the programs at multiple locations?
And honestly, if that was the best way to do it, Hadley would be doing it that way, Northampton would do it that way. It's not the best way to do it, and it's too intensive on our staff. And then and having good staff who can work efficiently is really important to making it financially feasible.
And also one of the parts that were on the I like and I do not like post that we had on
Yeah.
the board was one is multiple locations, I don't know where the events are. So
Yeah.
even though we may put it in the newsletter, like for certain things misshared or misinformation is shared, people get confused, they come here or they go somewhere else where the event is not.
Yeah.
Intergenerational programming came up, more conducive at this in South Deerfield as there's some, what could be more of a community center feel there is an opportunity. Traffic concerns didn't really come up at all, which is surprising as it's usually an issue one way or another. Crossing the river seemed like a mental block for older adults. People that lived close by wanted to be able to walk to the South Deerfield site, but there was no concern for other members of the communities that didn't live close by. So meaning the folks in South who said they wanted to walk in South Deerfield had no concerns that, hey, what about our Whately members? They can't walk, or our Sunderland members, they can't walk. So some folks shared they would like the center close to the senior housing in Deerfield, but we know that's not definitive right now at this point. Some folks shared very lot parking is being improved and is an option for overflow parking at the South Deerfield site. But at the same time, I think, there could be the potential for arguing over what parking is going on depending on events, et cetera. So folks don't need exercise spaces because of the YMCA programs.
Yeah.
Not sure of how true this is. This is something I would share that would say that those folks who made these comments do not regularly come to our center. Because they don't know what's going on.
Right.
And to be honest, when I was here that day, those who had negative commentary about this project were people who had never been to the center, maybe once. For a public forum or something, but they
So
don't,
they may not be the most well-informed
yes.
voices. is what you're saying. Okay.
Men used to be more active when the church was the location, more of a social setting drew them in. I would contradict that. I think the folks who've been coming would say that, if we had a separate lounge space, social space, no matter where we are, that would be more welcoming. Here, it's just hard to be social because we don't have a separate area for that. So if there's another class going on, some folks feel uncomfortable when they're talking over there or whatnot, they're afraid they'll disturb or whatever. Lounge space, very desirable. People want social spaces that don't necessarily have programs going on, which is wonderful. A cafe model was not desired so much. They didn't want to have to pay for food. Lunch,
There's plenty of places we can go to pay.
yep,
Yeah.
lunch programs and meals are needed. Programs centered around food, like lessons, cooking classes.
This is our Julia Childs.
People are tired of things not happening. A quote, been there, done this sentiment to the feasibility study. As folks have mentioned, they've been part of a bunch of surveys and nothing ever happens. One big factor is which site is easier to develop, as seniors clearly want something ASAP.
Yeah, what I would say, the survey is not a feasibility study.
Yeah.
But we need both. So I appreciate the sentiment of. And but to make it actually happen, we've gotta, and I really. I still have strong hopes for this feasibility study to help us sort something out that everybody can get behind. But it's clearly, looking at that, it's gonna take some education. It's gonna take people going to meetings and showing up and saying, hey, no, that's not true. And hey, no, that's not really true.
This is what we need.
Because there is clearly some misinformation there. But you know what? I was saying this to Trevor earlier. I have great faith in our communities when it comes to people have good information, they'll make good decisions. That's what I found is true in Whately, for sure, and I have no reason to think it's not true in Deerfield and Sunderland. That when people kind of understand, hey, this is what we're trying to build. Do you want it? And things like, yes, we're already trying to operate out of 3 different locations. And it's not really working. I think we can counter misinformation in the short term if we are organized. And especially if our seniors who are active and are knowledgeable about what's going on, come to meetings. If those folks are out there talking in the community as well and saying, hey, I know it seems like 12,000 square feet is, or 15,000 square feet is a lot. But let me tell you why that's really a good idea. Let me tell you how come the why in Greenfield is not the answer to the needs of seniors in Deerfield and Sunderland.
And what is the reason why you think 6,000 square feet is all they need?
Because if the
They
reason
don't
is
have any
that's all
justification
you've
for
ever had before,
Right,
then we have to, then you're saying that all we've ever done before is
Sure.
all we're ever gonna be able to.
right.
And that's not, has not been serving our seniors well. I don't know, probably since I moved to the area. So I think we have to be honest, we're trying to do something better than what we've done before.
Yeah.
And there's we may never change everybody's mind on this, but we've got to make the case for doing a better job than what we've done in the past and just ask for what we need.
Yeah.
Maybe, and
Don't say no.
And you think-
or yes.
just have to get out there
Have to get out there.
and help make that case.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to necessarily focus just on the seniors. It may be that what we have in mind is something to serve the seniors, but I think I think the survey, when we get all that information back, is probably gonna show that if we reach down at least a little bit in age, then we'll have wider communities. I think we really have to ask for what we need and we have to educate people about why we need it. And so those comments are all, none of them came as a surprise to me. Even the traffic concerns, I don't think people are that concerned about, I'll park on the grass, I mean, around here, right? We park on the grass all the time.
People are more
Yeah.
concerned about the traffic here on 116 turning into here,
Yes.
you know, so.
That is hard, yeah, and also, I've come here how many million times? I still get to that place like.
Oh, here when you're ready.
Where do I turn? If the trash can's not out there, I miss it next time around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you get a big backup, a lot of times.
yeah.
Yeah.
Waiting to turn in, so.
So I guess I'm not surprised, but in some ways, it's a little better, like there's less misinformation here than I thought there could be. Because, people aren't always paying attention. To me, the most, and this is not, it doesn't happen to be in this list, it kind of comes under a lot of money has gone to church in recent years. It'd be a shame to throw it away, is that there may be some lingering ideas that folks have that a decision's already been made. On the senior center, and that's,
People have said that
Yeah.
they thought it was definitely going into either the South Deerfield Congregational Church or the current town hall when it moves to the 1888 building.
yeah,
So, folks have that perception that Deerfield's already made their decision and that there is no further input or information necessary.
Well, it shows how, uninformed people are.
but it's
People have their opinions and that's where it comes from, a
Yeah.
lot of people have strong opinions in town that.
Yeah.
They wanna see what they wanna see. But
Yeah.
they don't make.
And it may be that some committees were making that assumption, and then people took that to mean, oh, that's a decision. not an
Right.
Assumption,
Exactly,
and,
yeah.
and that's something that probably has to be. I mean, but because I think we made it really clear, with your predecessor and Trevor and I at the meeting where we finally signed the letter to support the feasibility study.
Yeah.
We were not gonna support it if it was just
Right,
not gonna consider sites other than South
absolutely.
Deerfield.
Yeah.
So that was, and so people who didn't watch that Sutton's meeting might not know
Right.
that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that seems to me. That's something where we probably should actively seek to talk to those folks and let them know, hey, I understand you may think this, but. This is
Yeah.
what we're doing. This is what we do.
Yeah,
but in as non-confrontational ways.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Is there a way, I'm curious, for either myself or, you know, Joyce as the chair could get on the agenda for the three towns to just give updates of what our conversations have been?
That's a good idea. Like I said, I
Um,
think the sooner we can get together a meeting to talk about what we're doing with everybody. Invite all three towns together.
do you want to do that before the feasibility study is finished for the community, or are
I
we
think
talking about the select board?
I think it's important to do as much as, you're gonna need multiple meetings to get people to attend and to understand what's in front of us, what the true need is of the community, regardless of where it goes. They have to understand that it's not just gonna be what we've always had in a used building with the, we're gonna get by. We need to really, and then get a sense from the communities whether they have the appetite for that or not. I mean, do we have enough votes to get something passed? It might take a couple times. But, you know, people are concerned about their taxes and everything going on. There's a lot happening and, but this is important and it's been on the back burner. I mean, this is the excuse that everybody uses for every project we do that's not a senior center. But the seniors need something, right? That's what you always hear. Why are you doing a library with the seniors? Why are you doing town hall with the seniors? This is what you say, that, well, we've heard you. This is what the seniors need. So step up, now's your time. So I think, but it's important to get across what we need. And I think us saying it and the Doug and Chris and just talking about why we're dispelling the fact that you can just use the spaces that we have and remodel a little bit and it'll be fine. It'll be what we can get by. No one wants to take on debt. Well, towns grow. You take on debt and you pay it off. That's what happens. You know, it's just, I think it's really important to really get across to the communities, the true need.
Well, then you know, if, I think it would be beneficial then at this point to put together a meeting. I mean, like I know annual town, special town meetings going on in Deerfield on Monday, but, you know, and all of the towns, maybe, the beginning of November.
Yeah.
Try to get something together to give people an update of where the process is.
Yep.
No decisions have been made and
Right.
come up with all of the talking points. You know,
Right.
that are accurate, factual, not fictional.
Right, regardless of where it's going, these are the things that we have found based on discussions with all the community members and the experts who do this for a living all over the country. These are the spaces you need for these programs, for exercise. You can't just,
Well, and then
can't be just for
the
whatever
other
building
piece-
you have.
the other piece too that I've realized is that people are very unknowledgeable about what services we offer. Even though we've done the postcard mailings and other things like that, people think that, oh, you know, people just come here to have coffee.
No, yeah.
And, you know, like Fran can tell you, and, you know, all four of the people who are here today can tell you that we offer so much more.
Yes,
You know, we were able to do digital literacy reimbursement, so
yeah,
some folks got internet paid for up to
Right.
$500 for over the grant duration or got a new iPad. We help people with SNAP applications, with fuel assistance applications, with resources of, you know, where do I go for these things? And we get those phone calls all the time, but there's really no definitive way to track those.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, because my senior center is not set up that way, where, you know, if you get I would call in the military aspect, we'd get a quick track call, so like a family member just asking for a nominal resource. You know, and they're not a number, they're not something that's actively coming, but we get those calls like every day, we get at least 3 to 4. You know, of what services, where do I go? And people are like, oh, thanks so much.
just keep saying,
So, you know, I think we're gonna,
We'll be speaking
people
on
are
wall,
just
put a
put a
tick
tick
mark.
mark.
yeah,
I think that's what we're
Down
gonna
there,
do,
yeah.
start doing, because it's just, you know, and sometimes it can be hard because you get like random things are turned away into something else, but I think that's something we can try to capture, but that's not something we've been able to capture in the past, because we just haven't had a quick button to push or something on my senior center system. I've actually been looking at the other programs out there, but they're all kind of similar.
yeah.
So, you know, but
We just gotta keep telling our story.
yeah,
Keep telling our story over and over and over and the need and the requirements that are required for that need and just, they have to just keep pounding it. It's like a lie, you just gotta keep beating it until everyone thinks it's true. It happens, I mean, the more
Well,
you talk
except
about
it's
it,
not
but
a
this is not a lie.
It's
But,
not
but
a
that's
lie.
what happens, people just kind of keep going on and on and on, but
Yeah.
we need to kind of just keep saying it until people really understand
Yeah,
the requirements and what's needed and the cost that it's gonna take to do it.
This meeting that you're talking about, would it be during the day or in the evening?
I think we would do multiple meetings. We would do one during the daytime because I know most of our older adults don't like to drive in the evening.
Yeah.
And then, stuff in the evening for those who work during the daytime, who, or their children are involved in activities, so we want to be kind of mindful for both. And it would also be something we would have FCAT at to record, and we would also show it, online and things like that to try to get it out there. And with our relationship with the recorder, I'm sure we can have an article out there just talking about where we're moving to
Yeah.
next in the process, because I know they put out an article in Monday's paper for folks to come to
Yeah,
the meeting on
that was a
Wednesday.
nice article.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, it
we were
was.
able to get, we did stuff in the paper, we did stuff, online, we did stuff, email blasts in the newsletter, flyers all over the place. So, we can definitely work on that piece.
There's someone who's been very patient and wanted to.
Oh,
I know it's been discussed in the past about calling it a community center instead of a senior center. Do you think that folks would get behind that more so
That's a
than
good
just a
point.
senior center?
so one of the things that was feedback on one of the surveys, and maybe this was you, was having an adult community center. So, because some of the feedback I've received from some folks have been the kids have lots of places to go. Could there be somewhere where adults could go? Because after high school, there's really nowhere around here for people to get together. So, I think
Yeah.
if we were to go that way, we could definitely build more community support. Because and then in addition, we could do a couple different things. One, talk to the rec departments for all 3 towns to see, hey, what are your needs? But there would also be some, some guidelines and stuff of if it's being used different hours, that it should be left in a nice, clean situation, because that's an issue we've run at over at the Holy Family Church was when there were other things, so coming in, sharing space can sometimes be a little difficult, but I think if everyone's on board,
But
that wouldn't be an issue.
It would have to be scheduled.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Make sure that people know who's going in there and that it's reserved for a different group.
But I'm agreeing with you because I thought about it before too.
Come on.
And what you just said makes perfect sense, that our rec commissions would probably love to have a
Yeah.
facility where they could run some classes during the times when we're not operating as
Yeah.
a senior specific.
Yeah, like
Like a senior Tai Chi class.
Yeah,
And I don't know, make the age range vaguely.
but you
older,
could do
but
intergenerational
You could.
for Tai Chi and all those others. They don't necessarily have to be.
That's right, they don't necessarily have to be, we could give priority to seniors on some, or we got a whole slew of policies you could have.
the majority of the time during the day, it's the seniors. That's when they're done
Retired.
working, retired seniors are here and they're using the programs, and then after hours,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Well,
after
dark
hours
out,
when.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the
they're
other
driving
thing-
so much.
that we're looking to do is to, to be resources to everyone in the community, like, when we do our food pantry and things like that, but we've been limited, sometimes I'll stay later, or one of the other staff will stay late if someone can't come in to pick up their brown bag or something else because they work during the day or can't get
Yeah.
here until after hours. So we're, we try to be flexible, but I think by offering expanded programs, if you make it an adult community center, because there are lots of places, young folks
Oh,
can go, with the gyms and everything else. But you would be able to have that continuity, so even if someone's in their 20s, maybe they have, someone in their family that needs to support older, or maybe they just wanna come, feel part of the community and, build, and I think that's really important because social isolation is rampant in our area, plus, I mean, where do you go to socialize anymore? There's not a lot of places people can get together,
Yeah.
you know,
So-
and that don't involve
Spend a little
alcohol.
money.
Right.
Well, that don't
Right,
involve
no,
alcohol either,
Exactly.
because most people will, you know, go to a bar or somewhere else. You know,
Yeah,
and
you're drinking.
yeah, so like make it a place that people, you don't have to drink to come here, or, you know,
Mhm.
all of those things. You just come here to socialize or go to an activity or whatnot. I think that would be great for our community.
Can I ask a consortium question?
Mhm. Sure.
I'm just trying to make sure, I want to make sure I'm fully understanding, so. In every case, whatever we're looking at, the town will own the building.
Well, yeah. We're trying to open up the possibility that a town won't have to own the building. If we become a consortium, then, the potential is that we could own the building. But the realistic thing is, we need to hammer out agreements with the towns for support, unless somehow a nonprofit appears that is able to fundraise the millions of dollars needed
Yeah.
for us, which I'm just not holding out for that to happen.
No.
I'm sure a nonprofit will fundraise some of it,
Yeah,
but it's gonna mean a commitment from the towns. It just means that you wouldn't have one town has to commit to the whole
Right.
thing. And that the ownership in the end, if the ownership is a consortium of the towns, then the towns are owning it, all of the towns are owning it via that consortium that they're participating in. But it also, being a consortium, does not require that we own whatever property is our senior center. So if there is like two of the three that we're considering, it's town-owned land.
Right.
And could potentially be, if in Deerfield, they were willing to level the church and build a new building. To me, that's an interesting one, where the town owns the land, but does the town of Deerfield have to be the one who takes out the loan for a new building? Maybe not, maybe if we're a consortium, then we all have a piece of that.
Right.
We all have a commitment towards that.
there's no need for the town to sell to the consortium as part of that deal.
There's no requirement that a town would sell to a
Right.
consortium. Exactly,
That's all.
exactly. That consortium just gives us that extra bit of flexibility, which we may never use.
Right.
I don't think Ashfield and Shelburne and Buckland have ever used that particular part of their agreement. Because they've always had a space that was already owned by them. So to me, that's actually important that that other possibility exists. But if there's an easier solution, that don't need to use that, absolutely, we don't have to use that.
What if the site was sleeping?
If the site was Whately already owns that.
Then it
And
would be paying rent.
we'd be paying rent to Whately. That's, which is kind of what we're doing, we're paying rent, well, not to a town right now, but.
Yeah.
As we used to when we were in the old building in Deerfield. And that's. So that would be, and then in that case, then the interesting thing for the new construction, would that be something that is easier for one town to take on with a commitment from the others to help out?
Right.
Would the consortium be a good way to do that, or would that be something where it's still easier for one town to take that? But it's gonna require a commitment from all the towns, no matter what mechanism we use.
Yeah.
And that's that's sort of the unknown part, right? So I'm sorry, I think I got
No.
got into
That was
not
interesting.
nearly a rant.
No, that was interesting. Maybe
Yeah.
for me, it was.
Well, thank you. Yeah,
So I guess the decision is, do we want to try and pull some money together to add a third space, or do we want to
Yeah.
pare down to two?
great,
So one of the, so to talk about, for,
yeah.
We,
Preparing to which two?
we we also got a request, from from Margaret Nardowitz, the interim town administrator for Sunderland, to inquire about if we were to, what would the cost be, instead of just narrowing it down to 2 sites, to add the third as a whole site, because, you know, they've gone through the process for most of it so far. It would just be
Just
the design piece. So, Chris, Wanty from EDM sent an email back saying that, he would say we're in the ballpark of another $15,000 in fees for the design team to put together a full conceptual design for a third site. Which would include detailed floor plan, detailed site plan, a rendering of the facility interior and exterior, depending on the site, and a full cost estimate for those scope of work. So, you know, they did $35,000 is the cost for the two sites covered under the current grant Deerfield has for $75,000. So in order to do the full conceptual design, it would be another around $15,000.
Yeah, so, in a way, if we were to go forward trying to get that money, it sort of puts off the decision of which site to not use, and sorry, that's not very articulate, but,
To ignore.
To eliminate.
Yeah, so it's like, so to me, maybe the question is, are we ready to kick off one of these sites off the list? At this point, is there, the focus group in the end? Had zero in Sunderland, mostly primarily because of the location.
Yes.
Is reminding me of what Pete said at one of our meetings, had kind of expressed that sentiment that, you know, if it were anywhere else but where this, it would be a really great building for a senior center. So I guess I'm wondering, I don't know how many folks here from Sunderland. Doug, you're the only Sunderland person here. Okay, yeah. So what, I mean, what do Sunderland folks think about that? I mean, pressure, you're representing your entire community, you know? But, I mean, so that's, I mean, we should consider each of the sites as potential to be knocked off. And then if we can't eliminate one, then maybe we make the case to try and get ARPA money from each town in the sum of about $15,000 to make that third one. In some ways, I love getting more information. I love the idea of getting more information. But maybe that's putting the cart before the horse. Let's think about each site right now as a potential candidate to kick off the list and see if we can come to a consensus or.
So I'm definitely biased towards Deerfield, obviously, but it comes with a lot of issues. Parking, a building that we don't know what the percentage wants to hang on to and doesn't. We put money into it. We've done a kitchen over. There's like. Still, regardless, there's not enough space based on our needs. I'm looking at our needs and that's what we get across to people. So, but I think. With the possibility of space opening up. Either on the piece of property that the current town hall is right now, or remodel that building or something. I know it's not all together, or maybe we put an addition on. Anyways, there's room there with a new library that can be utilized by the seniors. There'll be a brand new town hall, there'll be parking around, it's centrally located. I think it's important to keep our mind open of what we could do on that chunk of land somewhere with something that's there. I think Sunderland is a great option because it has a nice newer space that could be remodeled pretty easily, but my concern is that it is closer in Amherst than it is to any of our communities, especially if we want to pull in Conway. So I'm concerned about that. Whately is really close to us, centrally located, was going to, possibly be the place for the EMS. It was like kind of right there. If we could open up our two industrial drives and just have a nice ride out that's not kind of like not quite safe there at that intersection. And we're working on that in towns to try and make that open. I think, and there's space to do an addition there, and it also has its issues. It's not a brand new building, and it needs some remodeling and space, but it has plenty of parking. It has enough room for an addition. So I think those Deerfield and Whately are stronger for me. It's just that Sunderland would be number one if it was anywhere closer in our towns, but and I don't know, we're looking at, there's still so many moving parts. We're looking at trying to take over we have the Brayburn property in town. It's been stuck for so long. We're in talks with somebody to possibly take a house and put access in. So opens up another chunk of land. You know, at town hall, there's a lot of different things still moving around. We don't know what's happening with senior housing. And if senior housing is there, it'd be great to have a spot near there. So I feel like Deerfield has some opportunities, but it also has some huge roadblocks with that building specifically. So those are my 2 cents on it. I'd love to hear what everyone else says.
My 2 cents are, well, we're comparing 2 public spaces to a private building. That
Correct.
could be sold tomorrow.
Yeah,
We don't know. And, so part of me says, well, even if this, are we still looking at private spaces?
Right.
Maybe something will pop up that'll make more sense. Because the one thing I do see about this one is that it's much faster.
Yeah.
And this could happen, you could,
Yes.
as soon as your leash is up or whatever. You could move it.
yes,
Yeah, it's not
Right.
That's a big difference. I think
Yeah.
these 2 phones are years away.
Mhm.
So.
You're right.
But I
You're right.
totally recognize that this is geographic. Just look at the population.
Yes.
Deerfield, you know, they're way probably closer to the center.
Mhm.
So there's some sense there.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start sharing my screen and
That
I'm
is
gonna
true.
put up the,
much quicker,
and kind of, yeah, I think so, yeah. Sunderland
much quicker.
is the biggest option if, purchase.
The only other benefit I said, I know people don't use it, but if the bus service were better,
Yeah.
30 minutes regularly on South Deerfield, on the way then, probably won't get much bus service from PTA.
Right, which is why all that stuff you're doing with your grants is so important. And then, Deerfield, you could say, let's say it has its issues.
Yes, it does.
But,
Possibility.
is, yeah. Has some interesting, possibilities, I'd say, let me say something due to, the, South Deerfield, I'll call it canvas.
Campus, yeah,
It's
exactly.
probably the closest populated, I mean, if you look at
Yeah, they're
drive times to it. it's gonna be-
closest to population centers. And when they say it has its issues, that will surely delay the
Yeah.
start
By years.
of anything by years.
We won't see it.
You won't
Right.
see it, and I'll be lucky if I see it.
And that's not an apostrophe, okay. Deerfield, and so I don't mean that to sound sarcastic or anything, has its issues, but. Yeah, I just don't think I want to enumerate
No,
all
I
of them, but
agree.
they include things like, will the church ever be torn down? If we're doing this feasibility study, it's gonna be for that church area, it's not gonna be a feasibility study for the town hall when it's eventually empty. And that's, so, so,
What's the timeline on the, not on the electric?
Sure.
yeah,
What's that?
What's the timeline, date that the town hall?
I would say next year. I mean, it's starting, well, it depends on the vote Monday, but, the vote goes Monday. We've got the $4 million that needs to get going right away. Yeah, we're gonna start in spring, I think. So probably take a year to build. I guess for model and build.
What's going in there?
Because we're gonna move the town hall from the current town hall to 1880.
Oh, okay. Then what's going into the town hall building?
Anything we want,
Oh,
senior center, senior housing, nothing? I don't know.
Here's my concern with that, is, the police station has already been, or the police have already shared that, the police station is smaller. So
Yeah,
what
they're
if they
gonna
want to
add on-
expand,
Towards the 1888 building a little bit. They're not coming the other way.
so then you're reducing parking?
It's already police parking. but
Yeah.
That's not good.
but you're reducing something up that will be under the.
I think they're gonna turn their bays over and I think all they're doing is adding on some bays. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Any approximation for square footage on that?
I don't know, probably just whatever the bays are now, a couple garage bays.
Mhm.
I don't think it's a big
But so depending on how the vote goes on Monday, if senior housing doesn't get passed for multitude of thoughts and comments for
Mhm.
other folks in the community who do not have wonderful knowledge. Is there the potential to put senior housing there in that location
In which the town,
where the current town hall is?
that was one study that was done. They talked about putting senior housing all over the ball field and in place of the town hall and all that, but that was just a conceptual design too. I mean, they have to really do something. I mean, we only bought this space for
Because
the
of that.
church for senior housing.
Yeah.
So I don't know what we're gonna do with it otherwise. And it really depends on if we need a developer to come in and say this is feasible, and we can put 20 units here or not, or whatever it takes to make it worthwhile to build. So-
Well, and
Yeah.
just to share, I think, if the opportunity is there to put additional senior housing on that other space, I think the community is really gonna be for it.
Yeah, well, Blake is concerned that everybody out of the community is gonna move in.
No, if you do, it
I
when,
know,
when we,
we're trying
did
to convince
Sanderson, when we did Sanderson Place, when the community did Sanderson Place, there's a majority of the percentage is Sunderland residents have the
But-
priority, and
but
it's for that initial
apparently it has to do with money, like,
federal funding. Yeah.
no,
Oh.
your wealth, right? So you may want to live in a community, but if you have too much money, you get kicked out of that
Well, yeah, because it's based on income.
and need.
And not
So-
ev- but
and
I
I
will
don't know
tell
how
you-
many.
Not everyone in Deerfield has all that money.
No, I agree, but a lot do. So it's, it's a fairly wealthy community. There's certainly plenty of seniors that don't. I mean, it's all fixed income and stuff, but hopefully there's enough to fill a good majority of it with a Deerfield resident. That's what we want,
Yeah.
because that would free up houses for young families to move into, and
Yep.
that's the goal. But yeah, it's all a lot confusing about it. But we'll see what people want to do.
Okay, so I'm kind of summarizing here, when we think about Sunderland, we are thinking about. The biggest advantage it has is that it's the quickest option.
Yeah.
That if we somehow get over the purchase hurdle. Then that gets us someplace quickly.
Yeah.
And you could, do it in phases and build onto it as you need to.
How about
Um,
that?
So, yes. Thank you.
Mm.
But the location thing is a really big thing,
Mhm.
and the purchase of the building is not a done deal, that's also a
Right.
barrier
Mhm.
there. I wrote,
Dan,
yeah,
because
yeah,
we're talking about Sunderland and you just mentioned like the purchase of the building would be the biggest hurdle. Do you feel that Sunderland would be potentially open to purchasing that if we were to pay rent?
I gotta be honest, I got mixed.
Yeah.
Definitely mixed feelings about it.
yeah.
There's some folks who. The only thing there's a lot of interest in this in
Yeah.
the center. It would have much easier.
Okay,
It's the
Yeah,
reality.
I think
Yeah.
that's problem, that's what I hear, like, absent a firm commitment from other towns to really help pay for that, I
Yeah.
think that's a very reasonable thing for people to feel.
I mean, it was initial excitement, but again, when we came to it, it's a big thing.
Yeah.
Deerfield, we just went through,
Yeah.
that's the issue that would surely be the biggest delay.
yeah,
But there are some interesting possibilities because of that campus. It could even be that we, on this feasibility study, we're looking at that one location, but could we learn something from that makes it? Makes us say, yeah, that's really the right location, and maybe it's gotta be next to the police station instead or something.
Right, exactly.
But
We won't really get that information out of
Right.
this, so in a way, I don't really like talking about other locations in
Yeah.
the campus, because it's not
Not
really what
fair.
we're getting
Yeah.
information on, but.
well, the other thing though, in regards to that, is if it's just per se, if it were considered to be. Obviously, there's a lot of people who are not gonna wanna tear down the church, but there might be more people interested in tearing down the current town hall, where you're using the footprint, like in that space, because I mean. obviously, yes, structural things in the bottom, price points would change or whatnot, but you might have the ability to do that double decker style that we're looking at for doing this, so you could
Yeah.
potentially use it for that
Yeah.
space, but I don't know.
It could be some information is reused.
Yeah,
Right.
So, right, so people in basically Deerfield were excited about the actual physical location,
yeah,
but we know there's a lot of issues that will delay it and
Yeah.
delay it, and that is sometimes the way to kill a project is to keep it delayed. And Whately, I wrote this in, but I would appreciate anybody adding into it. Because the space requires new construction, it will not be ready as soon as Sunderland would be. So it's definitely in terms of time, the second quickest. But because the land's up, and that's really because the land is already
Yeah.
owned
Yeah,
by the town. And the other barriers kind of seem smaller. We need to get, you know, we would maybe know more from information we get from a study. But there, you know, could you phase that in? Could you do your construction in a couple of phases? Then the question is, if you do the new construction, I'd have to talk to Pete about, like, and maybe we need to know that new construction. How do we fund that? Is that Whately taking out a loan and getting a commitment for payments? That might be the quickest way to do it.
right,
Where it might be, consortium
right.
has to play a role in that. But the other thing that people responded well to is it's centrally located, though it's not really walkable. So centrally located, and I'm trying to think, nobody could really get there by walking, other than there's a very few bunch of houses kind of north on Long Plain Road there. That is in some ways, and then there's that little part that's really South Deerfield, those folks could probably, but it's really in the middle of farmland.
Yeah.
So there's not a heck of
Much
a lot.
traffic, there's not much
There's
traffic.
not a lot of traffic, so you could walk.
Well, but a lot of the other senior centers, they're not centrally located in the center of town,
Oh, like in Hadley,
like in
Yeah.
Hadley,
Yeah.
Greenfield.
yeah,
They're not in the center of town, but
right, but I'm hearing is that there are certainly people who, that would be great if it were walkable for at least some people. But it's never gonna be walkable for the majority of people.
Right.
but, and even if you're like, while Deerfield has the, you know, the multitude of usage for the participation, you know, even here is partially walkable, but we increased by coming here, our participation for Sunderland by 85 members within our first year of being here.
Yeah.
So. And not everyone walks, you know, the majority of our folks don't, even in Sunderland or South Deerfield. How many people are actually walking? It wasn't a large number. It was just maybe a handful of people.
Yeah.
And then for going and doing other errands, the Whately site is right there, not far. It's it's about a mile from the center of South Deerfield, or from the other site in South Deerfield. You know, to get to, so people can still run their errands, go to the bank, you know, and stuff, and it would also. Open it up from, you know, just people going just centrally there, you know, people are gonna drive regardless, most of our folks drive, I'll be honest, like, that's why
Yeah,
even at the church, we only have maybe the people who lived across the street. Who came sometimes, or, you know, who came, who would walk, but. There wasn't as many as, you know, you might think.
yeah, we are not a country of walkers,
no.
so. Maybe this would be a good time to open it up to the public who's here. If you have some thoughts that we have anything from Madam.
I think Whately's centrally located for everybody and it'll be a quicker
Quicker
to
than,
get into, yeah. I mean, I'd love it to be in Deerfield, but I think that's the hurdles.
yeah. Then you, yes, ma'am.
all I keep saying is, why can't it be easier? Why can't it?
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah.
I'll drink more ice water than that.
I feel your frustration.
Yeah.
The building in Sunderland is fantastic, but,
Yeah, and we don't really know about that purchase hurdle.
Right.
Yeah.
But even though, even though I drive right now, but should I come to the point where I can't drive and where I live, there's no bus service.
Right, but you're actually right on Long Lake.
Yeah.
No, you're on River Road.
On River.
Oh, we need to build a sidewalk through that car.
Tell me about it. Love the
Through
sidewalk.
that, a little,
But that's why it's also, as we're looking forward to expand our transportation options, because even the site in South Deerfield has a huge hurdle with transportation. If you live in Sunderland, you can't come to our center by transportation. There is no
There's no cross.
PVCA crossover in that area. They, from my discussion yesterday with Paul, they don't even service anything up at the Whately
they don't go to
parking
the.
ride.
Yeah.
No,
It's a park and ride and they won't even go.
it's because it's
So
just the
I
FRTA.
know. It's pathetic.
And but it's
Politics,
boundaries.
bags of money in certain people's pockets.
So that's why we have, but that's why we have, that's why I'm looking at transportation, because that, when we had our first initial UMass needs assessment done, we got the results in May of 22, the first year of the year, and transportation was the biggest issue that we faced. So our goal was through Mass in Motion funding, we got those work groups together to talk about transportation and see how we could make changes. And, we got a lot of that accomplished, so that's why we're progressing to where we are now. But and we also we taught people how to ride the bus on a fixed route,
Yeah.
and people like that idea. One of our members who lives over here on 47, has visual disabilities and, are able to now navigate all of the things. And one of our other members, who lives in Sunderland, who's a younger member, has visual issues and rides the bus, and we were able to expand different things from their perspective, having them participate in a group. So it's also, as the budget moves and changes, the more funding is gonna be needed for transportation from the center because of what the need in the community is and that barrier between the RTAs.
And that's gonna be true for any of the three locations we're talking.
Yes, oh yeah.
So I guess
Where-
now let's go back to the board. Are we comfortable just eliminating one of these and moving forward with two? And if so, which one are we most comfortable eliminating? Are we most comfortable eliminating the one that is potentially the quickest option? Though we don't know for sure because of that purchase. It will get us someplace perhaps quickly, but it's not gonna be a central location. Are we willing to just say, oh, these issues in different, we're never gonna wanna use that space because it's gonna be 10 years before we can even break ground on something. Are we willing to just take that off the table at this point? And I know I'm saying something radical there, I'm just wondering, or are we gonna say, wait, Lee, who the hell wants to go there? That's in the middle of a bunch of cornfields or whatever fields they are, and it's gonna be like all new not all new construction, it's gonna be a bigger percentage new construction, and that's gonna take some time. Whately's never gonna wanna do that, or whatever we might perceive to be the barriers there. What do we think? What do we think of just deleting one of those now? Because in some ways, that's the path of least resistance. We can, as a group, decide to eliminate one now. We go forward, we get information on the others, and
And say $15,000.
then we say $15,000. The other option would be, do we go to our towns and try to hustle in the next, I don't know, 2 weeks to get ARPA money or some sort of like money that we have that we can flexibly spend to get a third site added.
Don't you think if there was a third site, it would
Oh,
have
no.
already?
No, these 3 sites.
Oh, those
Among
three
the, yeah, we
sites,
have to
okay.
take these 3 sites
So
and eliminate one of them.
we have to eliminate
Oh.
one of the 3 sites that we did the focus group on Wednesday. So, Joyce is giving the reasons, positive, negative as to each location. So we're trying to figure out You know, which would be the best. Keep
Yeah.
and, you know, or to get rid of.
And I feel like since I'm from Whately and I'm, in whatever sense, the bias towards making sure Whately is one of the remaining ones. I'm trying to just be as fair as possible, all around, and
One of the biggest things that I do want to advocate for is we want one location. We do not want to be spread out in multiple spaces. We don't want to walk across the campus to get to the second site.
15 steps.
It's not 15
Yeah,
steps.
it is, from one building to the other,
From the
not
church
that
to
far.
town hall is not 15
I-
steps.
I think we gotta be open, Jen, and we
But
gotta,
are you gonna-
because you
so
gotta
are you
make sure
gonna do our
something
staff budget.
to walk from one building to the other.
No, say we're down to one person, who's gonna manage the programs on one site
When are we
versus
down
the
to one
other?
person?
Huh?
When are we down to one person?
We had 2 deaths from family members recently. We were down to,
Yeah,
Short
and
staff.
we have to overcome that, but I just think we need to be open and not let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And if that location somewhere around there affords us something that will work, I just don't think we should turn our nose up to it.
I was just gonna try and Google to find out how many steps is it.
It's more than 15.
It's
It
more than,
is.
okay, more than 15, okay, good. And I don't
You don't
have
need
to
to Google it.
Google it anymore, I will go back. I'm kind
I mean, I'll say something about something. I kind of get the reality that if we ask Whately and Deerfield to vote about it for a second at the age of Sunday, I think that'd be a tough job. So,
I think in the absence of any other information. But if the other information we had was, it's going to cost ultimately twice as much to do it anywhere else.
that's true.
Or if we had the information that
well,
it's gonna cost 1.5 times as much to do it in Whately and 3 times as much to do it in Deerfield. Then you've got having the information, I think is really important. And so my hesitation about taking Sunderland off the list is that, you know, our towns do appreciate is a bargain.
Right.
You know, if we can get the 15,000 square feet there, get it quickly, on a relative scale here, of course. And have, some firm information that makes us believe we're actually doing the most cost effective and honestly,
do you,
perhaps environmentally effective.
do you have
Yeah.
the price points that we talked about at last meeting? Because if you look at it, Sunderland is the least expensive.
Yeah,
Um,
and the first indication is it's the least expensive,
$12,000, sure.
which is the 12, yeah. But
Yeah,
the,
it was 12,000.
but even at the apples to apples, when it was not cheaper by a lot when you did 15,000 square feet. But it was cheaper and those are ballpark pie in the sky numbers in a way. And when you actually got down to, hey, what would we have to do there? I don't really know which way it would go. So it might be that we're fooling ourselves to say it would be the cheapest, because we don't really have that information. And so to me, the hesitation of taking Sunderland off is that might be, it might be a bargain. We don't know yet. But it might be a big enough bargain and the timeline being shorter. Might be enough to convince people in both the Deerfield and Whately that, yeah, that's a place where we should invest.
I don't know if we can. I don't
You don't
think
think
we
so?
can pull any of these off. I really don't, because I think politically it's not smart and it's, we don't have all the answers. Like you said, it could be the cheapest, quickest to do Sunderland. I still feel like Deerfield is centrally located and I feel like,
The location.
and then there's a lot less obstacles for Whately. I mean, they all have pluses and minuses and I think we need to have them all done. I would recommend asking for 5 from each town to get all 3 done and let the public decide where we think the best, or hear from the people themselves, like, what would they pick? You're coming in here totally unbiased, never gonna go to one of these, what do you think?
We have some comments over here,
Yeah.
if you're willing to.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
I think it's been almost half a century trying to get a senior center built. And just because it's the quickest, people won't go to the Sunderland, they've already said it, it's too far to drive. They don't like 116 to begin with. And some people were coming out of the plum tree to turn left to come back this way and couldn't get out. Whereas I went down to Route 47 and got
Yeah,
out that way.
That's
But
smart.
people are saying it's too far. It's too far.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, and that we would really rather be able to get everybody on board for that, is that where if that's really where we're at?
Yeah, then no money.
Did we take Sunderland off the list? Go forward with Deerfield and Whately as more central locations. And get the information.
Yes.
And at the same time. I mean, I would have no hesitation to go to my board and say, could we pitch in
Yeah,
$5,000 of ARPA money? To get the information on the Sunderland site as well. So if we were to prioritize them today. Am I hearing that, I'm hearing the most emphasis on the downsides of something.
and there is
Right, and
absolutely
that-
no other building in Sunderland, no other space we can think of closer to town.
I'm happy to have it. No, nothing jumps
No,
out.
nothing jumps
Yeah.
out.
No,
But I would say, don't say it's for the 3 sites. Say it's for the 3rd site. rather than skills.
For the third. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
You're gonna ask.
Right. So, so what I'm kind of hearing at the consensus is. Yeah, the Sunderland site might be the third choice. But we really would value having that information.
I think,
Is that, so, yeah, would we value it enough that, like, you will go to your select board and advocate to get 5K, and you'll go to your select board to squeeze 5K out of something where you've got ARPA funds submitted.
Another survey.
And it's not a survey.
It's not a
No,
survey.
It's not a survey. It's going into that design that you saw. And actually saying, okay, how do we fit the exercise room in, and the this, and then that, all these things that we decided are our priorities.
Take it to the next one.
How do you actually fit that into the space that's available there? Like, how do you take that site in Whately where it's got a big warehouse room and a big loading dock room? And what do you have to do to that to make it into all the various programming spaces? It's not a survey. I mean, this is about getting that.
Oh, I
Which
guess I
one?
misunderstood, because I thought we
Zero.
talked about. on
Zero
Thursday,
voted for
we're
Sunderland.
about different-
No, no,
another
in the
point.
morning point.
No,
The
no, I'm
morning
talking
session,
about
11
doing
was
something
South
about all
Fairfield, 5
three
for
of
Wheaton,
these.
and 3 for Sunderland, and then at the end, we ended up with.
Oh, they
a
changed their
focus
vote.
group. Yeah, they
If we
changed
got
it.
0 votes out of the people that came.
For the focus
I'm not
group, we have
interested
0.
enough for a focus group to go
Yeah.
to that building.
Yeah.
Not because it's Sunderland, but because it's so far
Too far
away,
away.
difficult to
Yeah.
get to. I think we've got to cut that.
Because all the feedback that I've received,
If they're not gonna go,
They're not
what's
gonna
the,
go.
what's the
Right.
sense of doing?
I mean, it would be great, but it is there,
It
and
is just too far.
the argument is. People don't want to drive
And then
there,
we gotta try to fight to get purchase of it.
yeah,
Most people are thinking it's too far out of town.
but I don't know, you know,
But see,
So-
the decision today isn't, are we gonna purchase that building or not?
Right.
The decision is, are we gonna get more information about the cost? That's all the decision is today. Do we wanna get more information about a more realistic cost estimate?
But if people aren't gonna go,
And
then.
it's worth, doesn't
No,
matter what
it's-
cost it is.
It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what the cost is.
Right.
Would, if
If it was free,
if.
Free.
And it's not gonna be free.
so,
So any price.
Do you-
Even if it
Pay
were-
us to
even
go
if
there?
it were half the cost of what it would say cost in Whately.
No, they wouldn't
If it
go.
were half the cost and people still wouldn't go,
Really?
okay, then I'd ask my.
no, I guess that
my
gives us
Disney
our
friends,
answer.
You would go.
Yes.
Well, she did.
she walks, Carol walks here all the time,
There's-
she goes to Whately for the classes
Yeah.
and the Sunderland, so,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, so not everybody is a no-go, but enough no-go.
Yeah.
When was the meeting? Which meeting?
What?
It's here.
It was.
It was here on
Open house.
Wednesday.
Yeah, it was just an open house to the community.
I didn't.
You know, we were hoping for 50 folks to come through, but we had about 37. So, and then we're also still doing a survey that, that
Yeah.
Young put together and one of ours.
I
Talk
thought,
about programs and some other stuff. So, yeah, so we'll have that data captured in a few weeks. But,
yeah,
so we're working on that, but I think the biggest deterrent. While Sunderland would be done faster, the hurdle is the
Cheaper.
purchase price, it's also cheaper, it's like half the cost for the volume of space
I
versus
get it,
the other two towns.
but I need people to show up.
Oh,
well,
yeah,
no, I don't think it was half.
it was,
No,
so, well,
it
a
was-
little more, yeah,
Right,
it was a
the
little more than
12K
that,
space was.
was the
Yeah.
9,000.
Right.
Or
But they
9
were-
million,
Like, they
excuse
were
me.
all double digit millions.
Yeah.
So,
No, there was one that was $9 million, that's why I was asking you to pull that
but
up,
that's the 12,000.
yeah,
That was not the apples to apples.
okay, so it's
Yeah.
3,000 square feet less.
So, yeah, I will, let me see, I can pull it up. There we go. Is that one?
Yeah. Maybe you wanna go on this one.
Great, there we go.
So that's
That's
for,
the single story, renovated
for the
um,
church,
for the church,
it's only 7,600.
which is only half the space we need. If you were to build new, it's a little bit more, but probably long-term costs are lower. If you were to build new and make it 2 stories, it's 16.5 million. If we go to 4 Sandy Lane, there's only one option there, which is the 15,000
Right.
square feet, which would be a little less expensive by about $1.5 million. The Plum Tree Road, and I think this is the one, make sure.
With the renovation.
With the renovation, is 14.3, so it's a $500,000, a little bit more than, less than Whately. Call it, a $750,000 less than Whately. And then if you don't put an addition on there, that's the one that is about 10 million. I round 9.8 up to.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it says
Yeah.
with the renovation. The total cost of construction for, renovation only, but,
Yeah.
and then the total of all the construction adding the 15,000 square feet below, because they do have that incorporated in that cost.
Here,
Right there, where you see the red, total of all construction, 6.7. And then the soft costs and then the purchase of the site equals that 9.8.
I agree, but that's without adding on the 3,000, this is the 12,000 square foot option.
But why does it say $15,000 square feet to the left?
I think this one.
Yeah.
Is the same as
Yeah, 15.
this one.
So they added only $250,000 for, or, excuse me. Yeah, so renovation
They
option.
copied it.
for 15. Oh, they must not have made the changes. to-
Yeah, I think,
Oh, sorry, go back down, I'm sorry, I misread it, I was looking at the 3,000, so my apologies.
right,
So, yeah,
yeah, I think something's wrong with that number there.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That number is, right, that's supposed to be 5.
Yeah.
And then that would be 12.
So, thank you for correcting that, 'cause that's what confused me.
So.
That's our
that-
cheapest option.
Well, that's the cheapest option, but it's not, and we have to cut things, so we shouldn't be comparing
Yeah,
10
so it'd be
million,
14 million.
yeah, so 14.3, 15.1, and 16.5. So it's the cheapest option. But not that much cheaper than Whately, so I think hurdles would.
No. I
Make-
think hurdles
so-
would make it less
right.
expensive.
So I guess to me, the question is, is the. You know, which set of hurdles do we, do we
I
think
think,
are worse, and
I think we need growth and we need people to come, and I think that's.
that's Whately.
yeah, but we don't need to, we'll go down to one
Yeah,
second.
Whately and South Deerfield, or Deerfield would be the
If
two
we could-
locations. I think you should eliminate Sunderland. It would save $15,000. You know, most of the folks in this room have shared from their conversations and what I've heard
And your focus group,
in our focus
we
group.
trust our focus group.
Yeah, our
And
focus
our
group
people and
had,
our, yeah,
had several folks from Sunderland. I think we actually had 3 people from Sunderland. And only 2 from Whately and then three from South here, or three from Deerfield.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, even the Sunderland folks ended up picking, Whately over, Sunderland and Deerfield. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's a reality, I mean, it's just geographic.
What's
Geography,
the backside of Sanderson Place, going north?
This
Is
is,
it?
well, this point
Isn't
of
that
potatoes going up there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's another field, right?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is, I mean, this,
it's
Oh,
I'm curious, what makes me
Right
curious is,
against the corner of the road is to that, which is
Oh,
why they moved Sanderson Place further to the north.
Yeah.
I see. But I'm seeing north, like behind Kozlowski's and stuff. I mean, that probably,
that's all developable, that's all the sugar house. So that's great out to the ag, but it is.
It is.
One thing I also is too, well, pretty much.
I know,
Hard shape, it's all,
exactly.
I don't think it's for sale.
no, there's no.
Who owns it? Backen?
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
that.
sure. Sure. So, yeah, so are we at that point where we're at that consensus, because then we can. We can move forward and recommend, I guess, I think technically we recommend, I think, I'm going on my, I could be wrong. I think we recommend to the Deerfield Board of Selectmen to direct our consultants to, eliminate the Plum Tree Road site and do the more detailed financial analysis and layout and what you were describing earlier, mock-up, where's everything fit, or where does everything fit for the South Deerfield site.
I'll make that motion.
No,
Yeah, well, okay,
I just-
there's a motion, but maybe,
Wait
and
for a
you,
second.
if you wait for a second, then I'll support it.
Yes, I'll second.
Okay, motion made and seconded, so now I'll go around the room to let anybody chime in if they want, and I'm gonna start with Jen, because
I want to.
I'd like to start with Jen.
Thank you. I want to inquire, if we can recommend that we go with the larger scale markup for the full square footage,
Full
not
square
the smaller section. Is that something
Yeah,
that we're being
I-
For
specific
Deerfield,
about?
you mean?
Yeah, so like
Or-
the double,
or whatever.
the two-story
Right.
facility, not just the
The one that
one.
we need?
Yeah.
The one that we need,
Okay, I
absolutely.
just wanted to
Yeah,
be clear on
No,
that.
we need to tell people what we need. Yeah, that's what it is. If they want to do something else, let them spend some money and figure it out. This is what we decided.
okay. Anything you'd like to add?
No, I'd be happy with either site, but it sounds like would be quicker to move into Whately.
Yeah, but we can get information on both,
Yes.
and I think having more information is better.
Either side is good. Same thing. There's much information.
All right, is there any further discussion? Okay, then why don't we put that to a vote? David,
Sorry.
I,
Joyce, aye? Okay, so, I imagine the best way to do that is to write a letter and send it on,
yeah,
Do you want to do it from all three of you or just one per chair?
or whatever gets it out.
Yes.
It's quickly, so that's something. I can sign it and say on behalf of the.
Yeah.
board,
that's perfect.
Oversight and, we would send that to, Chris Dunn.
Yeah,
yeah.
Christopher Dunn.
And
Yeah,
he will get it on the,
Yep.
your next selectmen's agenda,
Yes.
at the earliest possible.
yes.
Okay. Alrighty, would you like me to write that letter?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll,
You can send it to me, I can put it on the letterhead if you don't have it,
okay,
let me know.
yeah, I think I don't have a letterhead, but
Okay.
I'll do something in Word and send it to you so you can easily
Yeah.
cut and paste it or in an email.
With that being said, I will also move forward for, creating something on Saturday for November's timeframe to do public informational sessions. I will check with EDM staff to see when their availability is to do something during the daytime. And I will also check with Frontier to make sure that we have the space there. If Frontier is not available, we could always use Whately during the daytime because of the school schedule. That's my only concern. And then do something in the evening or weekend, hopefully in the evening. at Frontier, you know, in the auditorium, so that'll give the community opportunity to also go to that.
Sure. And are you, so we're managing these meetings before, during and after getting the final results from our consultants, right?
That's what my
Yeah.
understanding was from our
I-
discussion
we're not-
earlier of the meeting.
Yeah,
so I
we're not,
wanted-
we're not waiting for the consultants to finish their.
Right, we're giving them an informational update so that they're aware of
Where
the
we at?
process and where our needs are.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and then we'll be able to elaborate on those needs as we get closer in the spring based on our current UMass needs assessment. Focused with age and dementia, because previously there was no dementia pieces entered. And it's also to see what training and other things, community services and other things we need regarding this and have input from them as well. So that way it was all the stakeholders within the various communities, not just our older adults, which we are focusing on, but we're being more inclusive
Yeah.
with the other pieces, to really get the word out and to just look at everything.
Yeah. Want a motion on minutes?
Oh, yes, because that was.
All right, so we're done with that item of the agenda. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
Because
thank
this
you.
is-
It's been,
We're doing something that's hard.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's why it feels hard.
We gotta let go, I'll go.
It's hard to let go,
I feel like we're all on the same.
and I think, well, I'm proud of us.
Yeah, I think we're moving in the right direction.
We're moving in there, we're moving in the right direction. We
Yeah,
are.
nice to see a positive momentum
Yeah.
going again.
Yeah.
Let's hope
Okay,
we keep it.
so under, minutes, we're gonna be under items unanticipated. I would,
I have a motion to approve the minutes for September 2024.
So,
and, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Good. And then I want to make one correction on the 21st. It was where I stated that I'm not in favor of remodeling the 1821 Congregational Church. I stated that multiple architectural studies have recommended tearing it down. I don't know if architectural studies have, but I certainly plenty of discussions with different contractors I've talked to have said probably not. So maybe if that could get,
What would you like it to be?
maybe just that multiple discussions have recommended tearing it down, because I don't know if I could point to a study
It
yet.
was the first, there's a study on the
The
building.
original one,
The-
okay,
I
at least
believe-
one,
I believe that one said, and then this here,
yeah.
from the information that Chris Wanty shared, he recommended that it be torn down.
Yeah, and I don't have that study yet, so maybe just discussions
Multiple
or,
discussions with
Yeah.
one
Yeah, yeah.
architectural.
yeah, fine,
Yeah, you
that's
certainly
fine.
stated this, but you
Yeah.
stated based on what? Should.
you said you
Yeah.
got a contract.
Yeah. Right,
Yeah.
so I just want to make sure. I'm clear about
That's
that.
not a
That's all.
problem with one architectural study.
Cause I still
Very
think we're
good.
taking it down.
It's okay. We can hear you.
Everybody's gonna. have to be that way.
You know what, though,
There.
I definitely, understand, but I know you're in the middle of making motion, so.
Yep, so I'll, so yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the September 21st, 2024
With that.
revised minutes.
Second.
Is in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, very good. Is there anything else that was under? Unanticipated? I feel like there was one other thing.
So we talked about the two aspects of the PBTA for the current project that we're talking with the potential project.
That was part B. Oh, we're back to part B. All
And
right.
then, we already discussed that. We discussed the feasibility piece here. We're going to go forward with the, public informational session. I don't know if there was anything else at this point in time.
And at some point, we need to, I don't know what the time frame is for our next meeting, but our next meeting, I hope we won't do it on Saturday morning. It's proving to be a little much for our director. Although she's always, giving us 110%. It might be time to start just asking for 100 instead of 110.
Thank you.
For at least for a little
I
while.
appreciate it.
And really appreciate your willingness to do this, because I think we needed longer meetings when people were hungry.
Yeah. But the only other question I have is, thank you for that, and we discussed getting the consortium potential agreement completed. by
Yeah.
December in order to have it move forward for a potential spring
Oh, yeah,
town
oh,
meeting.
that's a good, yeah,
So I just want to know where we are on that, and if our next meeting will solely focus on feasibility and that, or just the consortium. Or if you have all, well, I don't know, if Trevor will be back, but if you've gone into the mutual
Yeah.
document to read it, make any changes, if you want to send anything to me. I can
Right.
put together questions to be asked at the next meeting.
yeah.
Which would be wonderful to have.
Maybe that's an update thing. Have you talked to anybody in Sunderland about the consortium agreement?
I haven't had a
Yeah.
discussion about it.
And Margaret has seen it, I think, that she asked you.
Yeah, Margaret asked me questions about the cost, like what people would pay and if there would be, votes taken at, or town meetings voted were to be necessary for all of those things under the consortium, which we would get their permission to make the changes to a consortium agreement versus the IMA we currently have. And then it would be based down, we would talk about the cost analysis or cost distribution would probably stay the same, because I think that if you're looking solely on participation, it may be skewed. Because we get the state funding from the formula fund grant, which is received based on how many older adults are within all the 3 communities.
Yeah.
So I just, wanted to
Yeah.
be open about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it was purposefully vague on how you would divide costs were you to obtain real estate.
Yeah,
Because it might be that that's the point where you wanna say, well, maybe we should divide it differently, maybe
Yeah.
we should, and it. I think that's completely appropriate, but so maybe for that, I should follow up with Margaret.
yeah.
And have a chat with her about that. Do you know where things stand in Deerfield? Is anybody on the, very, very stretched administrative staff
I
there?
talked to Chris about it
Look at
quickly,
that.
and then I wanted to talk with Lisa when she comes for a meeting Monday. We'll
Oh,
talk
okay.
about it, so,
Okay, and so if we can try and get their input on it.
yeah.
Uh,
Exactly.
Whatever, that agreement itself would have to be done at town meeting.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, for sure.
And I think I would mostly want to allay people's fears that somehow we're we will not be a tax raising
Right,
enterprise.
exactly.
That any commitments we make on real property have to be agreed by the towns at
Yeah.
every time, and it is an amendment to the agreement. The main thing that consortium will give us immediately is 3 new board members.
Right.
One from each town.
Yeah.
Presumably from among the membership of our COAs, that's how we
Yeah.
structured it. But
Yeah.
honestly, it's not that hard to get on the COA.
Yeah. No,
That's-
It's hard to get off.
That's how.
Don't really get off, right?
It's great.
You're on it for life.
That's a lifetime appointment.
Every time to them back on it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Population numbers. You mentioned that the numbers for some were up by 80 because you moved here.
Yeah.
And so I guess I'd be curious to know what the plus is for where the thing is located. Typically. I mean, you
Yeah.
can break it up by census, but if it's in the middle of Deerfield, you're gonna get a plus from what.
Of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Curious.
yeah.
I think it
Yeah.
has to be by,
Well,
But-
I can honestly speak to, when we were in Deerfield, we had 124 members, that was it.
Yeah.
And then, when we moved here, or my first year there, even when we were in the church, we increased by 150 something or 130 something, and then the next year was 151. And then after that, this year, I think we're over 100 already. This is my third full, going the 3rd year, so. It varies, I mean, we've gotten some folks from out of the 3 towns as well. And I usually report those statistics to you, I just don't have that, right this second, but yeah, we've increased from all 3, we've even gotten additional Whately folks. So Whately has a smaller population with 544 older adults. There's 844, I think, we're around here in Sunderland, and about 1,600 in, a little over 1,600 in Deerfield. But not everyone comes, but we increased it to almost $500, 500 active members, in total. And we do have some folks coming from places like Leverett and Tewksbury and Conway, You know, because they don't have a center, or Greenfield because they like certain programs that we offer that other places don't. Or, you know, and here's another thing, some older adults who used to live in Deerfield moved to Greenfield because there's no senior housing. But they still come because they want to participate and engage with their friends. So that's something to know too.
Okay, all right, so our next meeting, we want to have some progress on it. I'm trying to think that's not gonna happen overnight, so we're probably looking like a month out
Yeah, agree.
from now, and we're not looking at a Saturday.
I know.
No, it's fine. If I can see- I may have to do that. That's all.
Yeah, that's fine. But what I was gonna ask, if you're gonna zoom in, what time of the day usually is better for you?
I found it early, so
Yeah.
you can, put it- I'll work on it.
If it's by Zoom, I can come earlier too.
Okay, so
Okay.
if it's a hybrid meeting, I can set it up for people to come in person here. But I can definitely have you both, or even Trevor, if you add, we can have you all on my.
For a date.
Well,
I-
we're sitting at October 5th, so we're looking at early November, and,
Long until the 11th. Which I'll be back on the 12th.
okay, so we're probably looking sometime in the middle of November then. I mean, I'm okay with making it a little bit more than a month, because we're having these other public meetings between. getting
Yeah,
input.
That's my goal.
Let's see,
Thursday.
and is your work allow you to do anything that's during the day?
It does, depending on where I'm at, yeah.
Yeah,
It depends on-
and if you're coming back from having travel, is that
Right,
likely to be like crunch week?
it's gonna be a crazy week, but I'll make it work.
Yeah,
13th is bad for me, so.
yeah, okay,
14th is fine.
yeah. The daytime,
14th is a little crazy because
Yeah.
our warrant is due that day on Thursday. You said 13th is bad with,
13th, 9th.
Yeah.
what about during the day on the 13th? Well, that's our food truck day, so I could do any time between 2 and 4. Is that bad?
yeah, that's,
Okay,
Good Friday,
Yeah, Friday.
Friday works for everybody?
sometime in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Are we thinking afternoon or midday or what? Like 2, 3,
It's something.
1 o'clock?
Oh, yeah, 3 to 4, I have something, but I could do 4 or I could do before 3.
Trevor, what's your schedule like? Would 1 o'clock work?
It will, I mean, the later the better for me, but that's fine.
Two works.
She's got it.
Yeah,
Well, if we did 2 to 3, Joyce has a meeting or
Yeah.
something at 3, so.
yeah, I have office hours that students actually come to.
Yeah.
So-
That's actually impressive.
Yeah, the students can come, if the students wanna,
Yeah,
put in their opinions too, but they probably won't have, they're gonna wanna know how to build a circuit or how to avert climate change. Of course.
So do we wanna do,
so you're talking 1 o'clock then, or 4?
Yeah, do we anticipate,
or if you wanna do Thursday, the 14th in the afternoon? I just can't do the morning.
yeah. Could we do something like 3:30
On the 14th,
on the 14th, 3:30 to,
works.
it'll take for hour and a half?
that's good for me.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Wait, that's Thursday, right?
Yeah, does that work for you?
Thursday, the-
Or is that bad?
Thursday, yeah, that's the bad night.
Oh, that's-
Oh, bad,
that's
never
the
mind.
bad one.
Sorry, misunderstood.
Yeah, the whole day's.
Friday.
So Friday, then do you get a lunch hour at all? No,
I just, yeah, no, I don't really have hours, I just try to get money,
Oh, okay.
try to sell.
so Wednesday's bad for you. What about Tuesday the 12th during the day?
No, Friday's
15th
Friday's fine.
Okay?
Yeah,
Friday's
Alright,
fine.
just
You
trying to
tell
be
me,
flexible.
late, no, it's just later the better, because I.
The later the better.
But I'm fine
Yeah.
doing the 1 o'clock if that works for
Let's do
everybody.
1 o'clock. Cause we may, I don't know if we have our knitting group that day, but if we do, it's from 2 to 3:30. I mean, I have no problem having the public meeting. I just don't want to interfere with what they're doing. For projects. Is it the 15th or no?
No.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks, when everybody else has schedule memorized, sometimes we have too many things going on and I can't keep track. Oh. Thanks, Carol.
Yeah, 1 to 2.
1 to 2,
But
okay.
realistically, I'm blocking out till
Okay.
2:30.
Yeah, it'll go over.
Okay, well, that's good. So your homework then between now and then is basically to look at the consortium
You
stuff.
said that last time, you should that out last time.
Yeah, if you need to resend the link, I
That-
can.
that's the good.
Okay, cool.
All right, why don't you take a motion to adjourn?
So.
All right.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Linda's aye.
Yeah.
I.
Start the meeting.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good to see you.